Hi guys, let's read. We're reading The Coldest Winter Ever by Sister Souljah, published in 1999, one of my favorite books. So, come on. Dedication. There is no such thing as love anymore, the kind that is so strong that you feel it in your bones. We used to feel that emotion when we looked into the faces of our mother, father, sisters, brother, family, and friends. There is no such thing as love anymore, at least not the dissatisfying kind that sits on your heart and influences every decision and action we take throughout the day. There is no reason to celebrate anymore, just empty actions and empty reactions, calculated gestures and financial arrangements. There is no such thing as love anymore. This novel is dedicated to the era in which we live, the era in which love, loyalty, truth, honor, and respect died, where humility and appreciation are non-existent, where families are divided and God reviled. The era, the coldest winter ever, by Sister Souljah. Chapter 1. I never liked Sister Souljah, straight up. She the type of female I'd like to cut in the face with my razor. Before I get heated just talking about her, let me make it clear who I am and where I stand. Don't go jumping to any conclusions either. All of y'all are too quick to jump to her defense without knowing what somebody up close and personal thinks. When it comes right down to it, those are the ones who really count. The people who were there, who've seen it all. Hell, you can't smell nobody's breath through the camera. You almost can't even see their pimples. So you know that TV shit ain't real. Don't run ahead of me. Let me take my time and tell my story. Brooklyn born, I don't have no sob stories for you about rats and roaches and pissy pew hallways. I came busting out of my mama's big coochie on January 28th, 1977, during one of New York's worst snowstorms. So my mother named me Winter. My father, Ricky Santiago, was so proud of his new baby girl that he had a limo waiting to pick my moms up from the hospital. The same night I got home, my pops gave me a diamond ring set in 24 karat gold. My mom said that my fingers were too small and soft to even hold a ring in place, but he insisted that he had a guy who would have it adjusted just right. It was important for me to know I deserved the best. No slum jewelry, cheap shoes, or knockoff designer stuff. Only the real thing. We lived in the projects, but we were cool with that. We weren't wanted for a damn thing. I had 3 aunts, 4 uncles, and a slew of cousins. As far as we were concerned, it was live for all of us to be chilling in the same building, or at least the next building over. We never had to worry about getting into fights because around our way, we had reputation. Plus, it was plain and simple common sense. If you put your hands on anybody in the family, you get jumped by the next oldest person in our family, and so on and so on. Sooner than later, we didn't even have to say a word. Everybody understood that our family had the neighborhood locked down. It wasn't worth the trouble. Our apartments in the projects were dipped. We had royal red carpets on the floors, top-of-the-line furniture, a fully loaded entertainment center, equipment, and all that good stuff. I love my pops with a passion. He was the smoothest nigga in the world. When he came into a room, he made a difference. His cologne came around the corner and introduced him before you could even see him. He spoke softly with deep seriousness. He was light-skinned, tall, with curly black hair, and a fine, thin mustache to match. He was medium build, definitely in shape. The thing that stood out about him was his style. His clothes were crisp, expensive. He never wore the same shirt twice. He could do it like that because he was smart. He never used the drugs he sold. He collected his money on time and made examples of any fool who tried to cheat him. He had a saying, 1 copper penny, 1 finger. All the ladies loved him, but he wasn't what I would call a ladies' man. He never had no girlfriend. At least no female ever called the house trying to front on my mom. I can't recall any incidents involving any other women, accusations, or any uncomfortableness. He was a family man. Everybody in the whole world knew my mom's was his wife, his one and only, his soft spot even. Moms and pops had been young lovers, and unlike a whole lot of niggas, they stayed together. She was 14 when she had me. Folks said she looked great during pregnancy and would switch her ass around the neighborhood, flowing easy like water. She would wear her fine Italian leather stiletto heels even in her 7th month. Moms had everything by the way of clothes and anything else you could think of. Her mahogany skin was smooth as a chocolate Hershey's bar. When she went anywhere, she was well coordinated. She had on a zebra skin hat, she sported the zebra skin pants, and would have a zebra skin pattern on all 10 nails. She'd even have the Victoria's Secret zebra pattern panties and camisole. What separated her from every other woman any of us knew was she just had so much class. While the others were putting their imitation leather and zebra skins on layaway piece by piece, Mama wouldn't be called dead without her shit perfectly arranged. By the time hoes sported their outfits, all their shit was played out straight out of style. When it came to shopping, Mama had no mercy, and that's the way Santiago liked it. His woman was supposed to be the showstopper. Mama didn't work because beauty, she said, was a full-time occupation that left no room for anything else. She'd sit at her vanity table for 3 hours, making sure she positioned each extra long lash on just right. She'd argue with anyone who said she wasn't born with those lashes that framed her big, wide brown eyes that were gorgeous with or without falsies. She made it clear to me that beautiful women are supposed to be taken care of. She would whisper in my ear, "I'm just a bad bitch." Now, a bad bitch is a woman who handles her business without making it seem like business. Only dumb girls let love get them delirious to the point where they let things that really count go undone. For example, you see a good-looking nigga walking down the avenue, you get excited. You get wet just thinking about him. You step to him, size him up, and you think, looks good. You slide your eyes down to a zipper, check for the print, and inside you scream, yes, it's all there. But then you realize he's not wearing a watch, ain't carrying no car keys, no jewels, and he's sporting last month's sneakers. He's broke as hell. A bad bitch realizes she has 2 options. 1, she could take her home and get her groove on just to enjoy the sex and don't get emotionally involved because he can't afford her. Or 2, she can walk away and leave his broke ass standing there. Having a relationship is out. Getting emotionally involved is out. Taking him seriously is out. If a bad bitch is extra slick, she can keep this guy inside for the good sex. He then becomes a commercial to the money man who's the main program. The money man is the guy who knows how to provide, knows how to bring home the goodness and bless his woman with everything she wants. Now, the money man might not be ringing any bells sexually, but if he has ends, if his pockets are heavy, a bad bitch will moan like this nigga is the original Casanova. When he's sexing her, she'll shake, pant, and cry out like he's creating orgasms as strong as ocean waves. Now, Mom must have been a bad bitch because she had it both ways. She had the money man with the good looks, loyalty, and I know Pops was laying down in the bedroom. Mom's got her hair down once every 3 days. The shop we went to, because she always took me, was for the high rollers girls. These were the few women in the neighborhood who were able to hook the big money fish. They all went to this shop to get their hair done, nails did, and more importantly, to show off an update on shit going on. Earlene's was where we could get our hair done while we collected information on the side. By the time I was 7, I understood the rules perfectly. Keep the family's business quiet. Most things were better left unsaid. Even though this was the high rollers hair shop, we were clear that motherfuckers were jealous of us. My pop's operation was steadily building. As a young guy, he started off as a lookout, but he was so sharp that now he has organized his own thing. He has his own workers and whatnot. People knew he was headed to being the next Big Willie by his style. He was respected for his product, which was never watered down, always a fair cut for your money. So me and my moms would catch those jealous glances, but we threw those shits right back. Our attitude toward other females was, hey, your man works for my pops. Now bow down to the family who puts food on the table for you and yours. Santiago was the #1 businessman in our area by the time I was 13, running things. Although he taught me never to sweat the small stuff, it seemed like every move he made he thought about carefully. I would hear his key unlocking the first door into our apartment. Then the men he was with, his workers, they would stand in the limited space between the first door and the heavy metal second door that actually led into our place and talk. After they handled their matters, you would hear the first door open and slam again. Pops would lock it and then unlock the second door to come inside. Whatever pressure he felt, whatever weight or business he had, was left in between those 2 doors because when he came inside, he brought his sexy smile, excited eyes, and power along with him. He would show us all love. He would have whatever any of us had asked him for in his pocket, no matter how small the request, down to a Snickers bar. If any of us had a problem of any kind, we could ask him and he'd make the answer so simple that I'd wonder how I couldn't have figured it out myself. If something was on his mind, he'd go in the back to a private room he had Woody the carpenter build and pull out his chessboard. Funny thing was, he wouldn't play with anybody, just against himself. When I'd ask him why, he'd say, that's how I stay on top, baby. I look at life from every position. I play from every side. You gotta know what each man on the board is thinking down to the littlest motherfucker like the pawn. Now, Daddy would explain that other players are quick to sacrifice or ignore the pawn, but he was too smart for that. The pawns are my soldiers, he would say. If I surround myself with strong soldiers, give them all a stake in the game, then they keep the hood strong and tight. He would look into my eyes as if to ask, do I understand? I didn't want him to know that I dig him so much that I listened to him for as long as he wanted to talk, but I didn't give a fuck about a game of chess. He would break down how around our way there were always some young kids trying to spread their wings and test his operation. He said they mostly stupid though, because no smart guy is going to try to kick in the door of the big man unless he got an extra tight, professional, strong, and ruthless crew. But every now and then, some dumbass young kid who has seen too many Scarface type movies will try to overtake what can only kill him. He loses, Santiago said, knocking the Black King over on the chessboard. He loses because he never understood the game. The up-and-coming dealers on the block was Santiago's number 2 problem. I was his number 1. He loved me like crazy, but was getting nervous about the way young men, young and old, was checking me out. It was amazing how in 1 year, from age 12 to 13, my titties sprouted. I even had the ass to match. I don't know who was more excited, the men or me. I was walking around poking my stuff out in any direction that looked good to me. But anybody who stared my way more than a few seconds was in danger of catching a critical beatdown. Pops had already made an example of at least 2 niggas around my way. Santiago sliced this one dude from his left ear to his right ear. We call that kind of cut a hospital run. But this guy never got to the hospital. Santiago let his blood gush out until Doc got to our apartment. Now, Doc ain't really no doctor. He just has some medical training in the Army. Santiago calls him when he don't need the police and hospital butting around in his business. Well, when Doc got finished with dude, his cut just bubbled up all the way across his face. Everybody in the neighborhood started calling him Bubbles for that ugly stars. Bubbles' crime was looking at me with lust in his eyes while he was supposed to be installing the safe in our apartment. Now Bubbles was a walking billboard that no one is allowed to fuck with Santiago's daughter. After that, we got the second metal door installed in our apartment, and none of Daddy's workers were ever allowed past that door again. Now, Mom thought Santiago's ways was overboard. She told him she was just going to give me some birth control pills and let me go. Because when a woman wants to get fucked, she gets fucked. She gets fucked whether it's in a car or a closet. Suggestions like this just made Santiago more crazy. He made it clear to Moms, Winter is not a woman yet. None of these lowlifes are going to make a trick out of my flesh and blood. Pops would pull me to the side, grab my shoulders with his strong hands and firm grip, stare into my eyes, and tell me slowly, only a hard-working man, a sharp thinker who doesn't hesitate to do what he got to do to get you what you need to have deserves you. He repeated that lesson often. I would think to myself, only Papa fits that description. Now, I love Papa, but I hated the way he cop blocked. Every teenage girl wants to cut loose and get close to the fire, but I was like a pot of boiling milk with the lid on. You know, that's ready to explode and slide down the side of the pan. So my peeps kept me busy by giving me things to do all the time. I had to watch my baby sisters, Mercedes and Lexus, the twins. They was a real pain in the ass at 8 months old. Then I had to look out for my other little sister, Portia, who was 4. She wasn't half bad since she didn't shit all over all the time. Sometimes the 3 of them kids together got on my nerves so bad they almost made me want to go to school. But my policy was to go to school just enough so the authorities wouldn't kick me out. If I had a new outfit to show off or some new jewels I knew I'd get sweated for, fine. But I wasn't going to report to school every day like it was some type of job they weren't even paying me for. School was like a hustle. Teachers wanted me to come to school so they could get paid to control me. What do I get out of the deal? Enough said. I just wasn't having it. As busy as they kept me, there was Midnight. I guess he got that name because Midnight was about the only thing blacker than him. He was one of my father's workers. He was real serious like my father. He always looked like he was thinking deep thoughts and had a lot on his mind. I figured maybe he had a plan to take over the world. I liked that because he would need to own the world to win me. He never smiled. He didn't joke around like other niggas in our age group. He did his pickups and deliveries like clockwork. My father once referred to him as a strong young lieutenant. Santiago liked him because he said he never tried to test or flex. He knew Santiago was the boss and he was comfortable and cool with that. Midnight never attempted to skim, pay late, or run games like some guys did when they first started out. I like Midnight for other reasons too. In the summertime, he wore white when he played basketball. His mother or whoever washed his clothes must have been more handy than them happy homemakers on TV commercials because his shit was crisp. But what really got me was that black skin. It was smooth and perfect. It laid on top of his bone structure tight like saran wrap. His arms were cut. I could tell he lifted weights. But he wasn't all big and swollen like those little dick assholes in the magazine. He was tall yet medium-sized and perfect. His muscles were defined. His veins stuck out, emphasizing his strength. His neck was slim and strong. He would come to the park only on Sundays. I know because I was clocking him like that. He would be wearing a new sweatsuit every time. He held his money in a gold money clip. He would take the money clip with the money neatly stacked out of his sweatpants pocket. He'd take off his pants, stripping down to the basketball shorts he had on underneath. His powerful legs were as cut as his upper body. For this, I gave him mad respect. I can't tell you how many guys I've seen with strong upper bodies and legs like a chicken. He would put that money clip on the inside of his basketball shorts and play ball. My eyes would move in and out of his structure. I couldn't wait to put my lips against his skin and maybe even suck on his collarbone or something. To make the package complete, Midnight's kicks were always new and clean. Now, Midnight never paid me no mind. I wasn't worried about it though, because one thing I learned from my mother is a bad bitch gets what she wants if she works her shit right. Pops also taught me something useful about patience. He said sometimes a victory is sweeter when it takes a long time to carry out the plan and you catch the person completely off guard. What I was up against was the fact that Midnight worked for my pops. So even if he had ever considered me, he probably ruled me out. He was 5 years older than me, so he might have also considered me jailbait. The worst thing about it was that I couldn't tell either way. You know how they say a person's face is a dead giveaway? Well, Midnight was the opposite. His face seemed serious all the time. His reactions just didn't show up. Even when he plays ball, he didn't talk trash like the other niggas. He didn't even react when they tried to mess with him. He just seemed focused on the basket, made his moves, scored his jumpers, and didn't even smile when he won. At first, to get his attention, I did the regular things like rocking my skirts extra mini, shortening my already short shorts, sporting halter tops, and cute little metallic bras. As I got sexier, he went from looking at me almost never to never looking at me at all. While in his presence, or at least when I was in the same park he was in watching him play ball, I would try to get his attention by acting mad. I sucked my teeth, rolled my eyes at him, still nothing. So I decided to make him a long shot project. Meanwhile, I had my own fun stuff going on. I would let niggas take me to the movies, or should I say I went to the movies with my girlfriends and met niggas there, not wanting to ruffle Santiago's feathers by bringing a worthless nigga home. Sometimes we would just chill at my girl Natalie's apartment. Her mom's was never home, so we had free run of the place. Getting my first sugar daddy was no problem. His name was Sterling. I met him in Lower Manhattan at a grocery market when I ran in to get some chapstick on a fickle autumn morning. I guess my style just overwhelmed him because instead of reaching into the cash register and giving me my damn change, his eyes were sliding in between my breasts like he wished he could be one of my gold chains. I recognized him immediately as a sucker, somebody I could take for all he had. All his thoughts showed on his face. It was clear that I had his full attention as I gave him a blast of ghetto attitude. I put my hands on his hips saying, "My money or your life." He looked startled, stopped staring, and counted my change. I laughed. "Do you need your receipt?" he asked, with his enthusiastic, corny ass trying to prolong the conversation. "If that's all you have to offer," I said, with a serious look sprinkled with sexiness. He gave me my money and cleared his throat, turned from the register with his cheap white dress shirt and $2 tie, and followed me as I walked toward the door. I guess he had it like that. He could walk away from the register because he was the store manager. "So what's your name?" he asked, looking like he thought he could actually make some progress with me. "Winter," I said, rolling my eyes with disinterest. "You live around here?" "Brooklyn, baby, no doubt." The rest is history. He got paid every 2 weeks, and so did I. He worked at the store, and I worked on him. I had him buying me shit he couldn't afford. We ate at places he never knew existed. Whatever little money he took home and paid, I took my 25% like I was his freaking agent or something. It worked out smooth. Him living in Manhattan out of Santiago's eyesight, besides the little piece of cash he provided, meant a new outfit, an extra gold bangle to my collection, whatever. Like Mama said, you can never have too much. Stay tuned for more.